Right, this was a direct assault.
Those are the hard ones.
Yeah, no, this was a direct assault that hurt a lot of people.
Those are the burners.
They stabbed you in the back.
Uh-huh. And hurt a lot of people.
Slow cookers.
So,
It's not okay.
it's not okay. I mean, there's a code here, right? I mean, some people know about the code.
No,
I mean, there's a code.
what is it?
No, fuck that. Is that, you know, you just can't get away with this. Right? There's consequences. Right? You just can't do something like this and expect that it's just going to go away. You can't do it. Right? That's the code.
That's what I think, yeah.
I mean, there's got to be consequences. You know, or else, I mean,
Yeah, that's
right?
right.
I mean, that's you fuck this politically correct shit. I mean, seriously. You know, everybody's so sure that everybody doesn't want to go to jail or get in trouble, right? That they're not going to stand up. That's not right. It's not true. Because I'm not well.
Really?
No. And I'm saying this on YouTube.
Yeah.
That's gonna be a good one.
Anyway, so it said, this is our course. We realized the people who wronged us were perhaps spiritually sick. All right, so they're spiritually sick. Though I don't like their symptoms and the way they disturb me, they like herself are sick too? Okay.
But yeah,
Right, but not, and not this, this was malice. This was malice.
what if the person is incapable of acting normal?
That's not my problem. And there's a reason, because they've never been disciplined. Even a dog knows eventually not to shit on the carpet. If they're taught.
They go on the path, yeah.
If they're not taught, then they will continually shit on the carpet. Right? They don't know any better. This person apparently doesn't know any better. Right? Because they've never been taught not to do this kind of
And
shit.
they never be able to correct it.
Well, they will, yeah. Well, no, it would have gotten corrected if there would have been consequences along the way.
Known them for 15 years.
Well, but if there would have been consequences along the way,
Right.
this person would have thought twice or three times before they did what they did.
That's life. Okay?
Yeah, that's life.
Yeah.
But because people have never been taught consequences.
Whole city full of them running around.
Yeah,
There's a whole fucking city full of them.
yeah. So we just, anyway.
Yeah.
So, referring to our list again, page 67. Referring to our list again, putting out of our minds the wrongs others had done, we resolutely look for our own mistakes. So this is where you write down what your mistakes are in the relationship, not in the resentment. It says putting out of our minds the wrongs others had done.
So this is where people get my part and
My part, whatever.
Yeah.
You get really screwed up,
Yeah.
right? And this is part of the inventory. This is the most important part of this inventory. It's easy to write down what they did to you. It's easy to be a victim. It's easy for me to write down, a thing she's doing to me. Right? It's easy for me to do that. But can I put them out of my mind or what they did and write down what my mistakes are? Right? That's the spiritual growth here. So the bottom of page 67, it says, notice the word fear is bracketed alongside difficulties. Mrs. Brown, Miss Jones, the employer, and his wife. This short word somehow touches every aspect of our life. It's an evil and corroding thread. The fabric of our existence is shot through with it. It sets in motion trains of circumstances which bring us misfortune we felt we didn't deserve. So let's look at the fear aspect of life here. In the third step, we talked about turning our will and our life over. Right? Turning our will over means we planned the fishing trip, but not the fish dinner. We planned the event, but not the outcome. Turning our life over means, can I live in a world without fear? Can I learn to be, to exist without fear? I mean, that's a really tall order, don't you think?
Yeah, buddy.
Right? Because as long as I'm in the game As long as my ego's there, as long as my pride's there, as long as I'm in the picture, is I'm going to be afraid of everything. But if I take me out of the equation and just go make my amends and just go set things right as a matter of fact and not a matter of emotion, right, then things seem to work out much better. If I can take me out of the equation, how often can you take you out of the equation?
Rarely.
Right. Right, but as soon as I can take me out of the equation, which is what it is when you get mad at me for doing what I do, right? And I brush it off. I say, okay, well that's fine. I might have made a mistake, so I'll just take my lumps and I'll live with it. Right? I did screw up, so I'm just going to take my lumps. But when it's something like this, when it's different, when it's malice, when it's soulfully intended to hurt somebody, that's crossing the line for me. And I could be justifying it. I mean, I don't know yet. This is what I'll talk to, this is what I'll find out when I read this off. I'm not going to do anything until after I read inventory. Right? I'm not going to do anything until after I read inventory.
About when it affects other people. A whole bunch of people get affected by what that action was.
Oh, yeah. A whole lot of people got affected. A whole lot of people got hurt.
That person needs help.
But the person needs to get the shit smacked out of them.
I'm curious to know what's going on with it.
I don't want to know.
We don't know.
No, I don't want to know.
Anyway.
So you, on this particular instance, you're not gonna act on it yet until you discuss it with somebody and then you're willing to look at it from a different perspective?
Well, yeah.
If one comes about.
Oh, no.
You know what? Let me tell you a story here, right? There was a story that's something similar to this happened a couple of years ago. And there was this guy at work who, it was his job to come over and look at the lighting control panel, right, of this job. It's his job. I had never done this particular type of control systems. So I'm calling him over, and he can't wait to call the owner of the company and discuss my mistakes with the owner of the company without discussing them with me. And so it's this guy's MO. It's what he does all the time. Right? And so it's the sole purpose he was called over here was to get this thing straightened out. That's his job. Right? That was his job with the company. Right? And for him to do what he did just infuriated me. And so what I did, my first response is, is to take him upstairs and have him come to Jesus meet with him. I've done this before. Right? I mean, literally. And so instead, what I thought about was I talked to my boss, which was have a lot of respect for him. He's a good Christian man. I got a lot of respect for him, and I told him the story. And I say, I got two alternatives here, Paul. Right? My boss's name is Paul. One was either just go up there and just kick the shit out of him and just be done with it, or what do you think I should do? And the boss told me to just talk to him and and don't do that. Right? Because it's company, it involves the company, my job, right? And so I went over and talked to this guy, and I drug him upstairs, literally drug him upstairs, and I told him the story. I said, this is what you did, and he started to backpedal. I said, no, that part of the discussion's over. You did it. It's not a discussion whether you did it or not. You did it. And the reasons for you doing it are bullshit. You're just trying to hurt people. It says, so I had a discussion with the boss, and I told him what my two alternatives were. And I said, my first alternative is to bring you up here and smack the shit out of you. And screw the consequences. And just rip you apart. I'm telling him that. And then I said the other one was what the boss told me to do was just pray for your sick ass. And understand that you're sick. And I said, that's what we're going to do. Get the fuck out of here. That's a true story.
Was that a Zoom call?
Yeah.
You ask for advice first.
Yeah, well, that's what, right?
That kind of stuff I don't understand. I don't understand why people just intentionally do that kind of stuff.
Well, maybe because they're not. Well,
Yeah,
again, there's two reasons, Sam. One is that they've never suffered consequences from that actions. Right, that's the biggest thing. Is they've never had consequences from those actions, and so in their mind, they're justified in what they do.
They think their ass kicks are.
I don't
Uh huh.
understand. Why would they even want to do that? in the first
Well, but again, because
It's a habit.
who knows? You
They
know.
don't see the
They're
wrong.
weak.
It's a habit.
Well, they think they're trying to help somebody, right? Right there. Some people will have to step on the backs of others so they can feel elevated, right? And that's what this person did with me, right? Because there's a little frenzy on getting Paul. Let's get him. Let's get the ogre.
Boy, is that true?
Yeah, well, it is. Yeah, let's get the ogre. All right, so it says fear. All right, back to fear. We're having fun here now, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So we reviewed our fears thoroughly. We put them on paper, even though we had no resentment and connection with them. We ask ourselves why we have them. Right? So this fear inventory is just a list of your fears. And we ask ourselves why we have them. Wasn't it because self-reliance failed us? Of course it's because self-reliance failed you. If you were reliant, if you were sure about things, you certainly wouldn't be afraid. It's because self-reliance failed us. Self-reliance was good as far as it went, but didn't fully solve the fear problem or anything else. So this is where the material meets the spiritual. The material world and the spiritual world collide here. Are you guys understand this? Is this good? So, can you learn to live in a world without fear?
Sometimes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good thing,
You get better.
right?
Yeah.
It get better. That's turning our will and our life over. So with this, let's go to page 72. Ready? This is going into the fifth step. Now, in these spiritual principles, the first one is inventory. Can I find my mistakes? Because I can always find yours. Right? And now this is the confession. Right? This is the second spiritual principle. Can I tell you what I've done wrong? So it says, having made our personal inventory, what shall we do about it? We have been trying to get a new attitude, a new relationship with our Creator, and discover the obstacles in our path. There's the purpose of the inventory. We've admitted certain defects. We have ascertained in a rough way what the trouble is. We put our finger on the weak items of our personal inventory now. Now these are about to be cast out. This requires action on our part, which, when completed, will mean that we've admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our defects. What is the difference between identifying or admitting your defects versus admitting the exact nature of your defects?
Nature's where it comes from.
Nature is where it's come from. Or the admitting the exact nature of your wrongs. Anybody's willing to, anybody can admit when they're wrong. Right? But where to admit the exact nature of the wrong?
Like fear or.
Well, again, that's a symptom. Right? Fear is a symptom. Selfishness is a symptom. Drinking is a symptom. Using is a symptom. Right? What inside of you, and this is where the fear comes in, right? This is where we analyze the fears. So what old idea dominates you to behave how you do and to feel how you do? Or if somebody says something to you, the biggest thing is that most of us have been so sensitive to things, right? Very, very sensitive. If somebody brushes by us and says you're the most beautiful thing ever, then all of a sudden you say, "Oh, I'm beautiful." And the next person brushes by you and says, "You're the most biggest piece of shit I know." And then you go, "Fuck, I must be a piece of shit." You guys know that?
Yeah.
Right? Why is that? Why is it you need somebody else's approval?
Yeah, it should.
No, it's a question. Why do you need their approval? Where did that come from that you don't feel you're good enough standing on your own merit?
You
can
don't
come
love
from your
yourself.
parents.
No. Where did it come from? All these things you're identifying, low self-esteem, you don't love yourself, all those things are symptoms of the same thing. That's like saying that I'm bald and follically challenged. It's the same thing. Of course I have self-esteem issues, right? You tell me I'm beautiful, now I'm beautiful. You tell me I'm a piece of shit, now I'm a piece of shit. Of course I have self-esteem. Of course I'm full of fear. But where does that idea come from? And is it true?
No.
No, but where does it come from?
You gotta search.
That's what we're talking about. That's the purpose of the fifth step. Is the exact nature of the defect. Where in your life did this thought first occur?
Like in your childhood?
Absolutely, but what caused it, and how long have you been living with that?
Okay.
And is it true? Have you proven it to be true, or do you just think it's true?
Wow.
Right? Understand that?
Yeah.
That's what we take in. That's step 6. Is once I identify what that thing is, and I understand that because of what happened to me as a kid, what I perceived for me to happen to a kid, or what actually happened to me as a kid, I've been abusing relationships and abusing people and keeping people away my whole life. Why?
Too
Play the
scared.
victim to get back.
And so, just that simple little thing, that's what we take into step 6. In my case, it was because, or let's say I was molested as a kid. And these two men did these things, and so now, in my psyche, I got to prove I'm not gay.
Right.
Right? See, that's the old idea. Is that I got something to prove that I'm not gay.
Every woman's a target.
Right. You guys understand that? Right? And so that's the old idea. That's the exact nature of the defect, not the defect.
You
That-
still
that
feel
sounds
that
to
way?
me
No,
I
no.
didn't
Like
think
it's your
so.
mind trying to help you.
No, see, but see, I've been doing this for 27 years.
Yeah.
Right? This is what I discovered when I first did my first fifth step. Yeah. Right? And so I allowed these people who were mentally ill to disturb my entire life up to that point. And how many people did I hurt because of what they did to me?
Yeah.
Were you guys following me on that?
Yeah.
So that's the exact nature of the defect. A defect is I need your approval. I need for you to prove to me I'm not gay. Right? That's the defect. Where does that come from? It happened to me when I was a kid. And so that's what I take into step 6. This revealed a lot of crazy shit. Do I want to stop this? Stop it. That is what step 6 is all about. It's not a list of my defects of character. It's the root cause of my defect of character.
So at this point, when this happened to you, you started acting out, lashing out, being foolish, being cocky. being
Well,
drunk,
okay.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever it caused you to do, you started acting out.
Yeah. And so once I realized that I'm allowing these mentally ill men, right, to even affect my thought of what the church is, my thought of what a man does, my thought of what the purpose of a woman is, my thought about relationships, it affected everything. Everything. You guys understand that? And so that's what we take into step 6. That is the exact nature. And if somebody had been worried about my feelings, and the person who took me through my very first step was Patrick Brady, Irish Patrick. I think Owen knows him. Right, this was a guy. Whether he understood what he was doing for me or not, I don't know. But the realization that I got sitting there at Rebecca's coffee shop, crying my eyes out, reading this inventory off to him, right? The realization that I got what had happened to me. I don't know if Patrick really understood the full ramification of what was happening, mean, I don't know if he did or not, right? But it certainly hit me like a ton of bricks. Is that I've been allowing these mentally ill people to affect everybody around me.
Is the nature of the defect still there?
It is there, yeah. It is there, and sometimes it rears its ugly head, right? But for the most part, I'm able to keep it under wraps, right? And again, that's where that disclaimer comes in. Many of us exclaim, "What an order! I can't go through with it." Don't be discouraged. No one among us can maintain anything like perfect adherence to these principles. I mean, I'm not proud of my defects. I'm not. I'm not proud of the collateral damage that these defects of mine cause. But what am I going to do?
Move forward.
I'm just going to bury my head in my hand in the sand. No, I'm going to do these inventories, right? I'm going to go out and set right the things I can, right? I'll make amends for my mistakes, right? And then move on.
Oddly comforting.
I mean, because
Oddly comforting, yes.
well, because who here's normal, right? I have a mental illness, a pretty severe mental illness, right? And the only treatment is the spirit, is the God. That is my only hope, is some form of God, right? And it's not what the Christians refer to as God. Is that I found one I can do business with. Period. Right, and I mean, yeah. So with that, we're gonna open it up for questions. You got anything?
Is it a disease or a mental illness?
It's the same thing. A disease means, a Latin term, as somebody would tell me, it's dis-ease. I'm uncomfortable.
Okay.
Same thing as a malady, right? What does a malady mean?
Bad.
Deficiency?
Yeah, it's maladjusted. Malady is just maladjusted. Right? Ruth, you got anything?
No.
Oh, and you got something?
No.
Good. Well, I want to thank everybody for being here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right?
Thank you.
All right, so this is going to be on YouTube. I think it's SOS Recovery Home.
All right.
All right? At Gmail, I think it is, but it's on YouTube. And thank you very much. You guys have a good day.